Hello, welcome all. My name is Gospel Crossfield, and this is Import Miscellaneous Talks. And today we have a very special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, hello guys. This is Didi Reels. Thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate you guys. And I'm so excited for today's conversation. It's going to be about dating relationship dynamic in West and also in Africa. So we're going to be hearing from two sides. And
Well, I hear a little accent on you. Where you from?
yeah, I'm from Nigeria. And yeah.
Most importantly, though, who makes the best jollof rice? Because I heard Ghana got it.
Mm,
I heard Ghana got the best jollof.
Well, that's an argument that has not yet been resolved. So it's gonna if I say it's Nigeria, then Ghanaians are gonna come for me. If I say it's Ghana, then Nigerians are gonna come for me. So we just have to like kind of squash that topic.
Politically correct answer, man. You know who you prefer deep down.
that's a fact.
Maybe.
So, what would you say is the biggest difference between women in the West and women in Africa?
Well, I would say the biggest difference is the mindset. There's a whole different like background, like the way the women in the West grew up, the orientation they have from their homes, the society, and also Africa also have like a whole different, totally different mindset and the way we were actually brought up. And then I would say the biggest difference in like go is it gonna be the dating mindset, being in a relationship. Okay, with that, I would say with women in Africa, they go into relationship with the mindset of the end goal is actually marriage. That is the mindset. While for the Western women, I would say I think they date just to date, like just testing here and there to see which one feels good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because in the West you hear about women in these 8 year situationships without a title, living with each other, two, three kids in, not even a proposal. They'd be like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah,
My goodness, wow.
that's
So,
how it is.
do you think women in Africa prefer Western men, or do they prefer men from their home country?
Okay, with that, I would say it's actually an individual thing. Some women actually prefer Western men, and they do have their reasons, while some actually prefer the African men. And also, they do have their reasons with that. For those who prefer Western men, there are some who have like a, they have like a totally different reason why they prefer Western men. Maybe they feel like the grass is greener on the Western side. They can get the opportunity to actually leave their country and then move to the Western country, anyone at all. But then there are some who prefer it just because they feel like Western men will be more, they're going to get something that they won't get from African men, from the Western men. That is, maybe they feel they are going to get like loyalty in relationships. Maybe the man is not going to cheat. Then with maybe more Western men would be more like they'll show their care. They are more romantic. Like they won't be afraid to kind of express themselves to the woman, and then she'll feel loved. Like all those things that women would kind of desire. And maybe she feels like African men are more kind of, they are not gonna show or express that, especially like being married in public. They won't open her car door for her, stuff like that. And then, while some would prefer to actually be with African men, especially some people who are of the same tribe with them, because
Mm.
in Africa we have this like big tribalism with us, while some will be like, no, you can't be with a stranger. Our child, maybe their parents, our daughter has to be with someone who is actually from our tribe, so they don't break our lineage. Like they want everything to go in line with their tribe
Mm.
or someone from Africa, strictly.
You you know that there's a lot of misconceptions that come with women that are outside of the West, like in Africa or Asia, when it comes to looking for a wife. A lot of people think that the benefits of being with a Western man is the biggest thing, the visa and passport coming to America for a better life or a better opportunity, which is very hard to gauge because you wonder if is she here for me, or is she here to be with me, get to America, and then divorce me and leave me. You know what I'm saying? So, what are your thoughts about that and the stereotype that comes with that?
Yeah, I think because of that, that is the reason why most men actually prefer to actually leave the woman back in her hometown. I think another way to actually find out if the woman is not if most like the could be Asian, Africa or anything, foreign woman though from the West, like if you want to find out if that woman really like she wants to be with you just because she wants to be with you and it's you, not the country or the green card, I think the best way is to let her know like what if it happens to be the case where you remain in your country and you don't like come with me to the West and I even move with you to your country. Then for a woman who her sole intention is actually just to get the green card, she isn't gonna want that situation. She would most likely say no, like I want to go to your country, something like that. Or she might just change her mind and not be interested in you. So that's kind of like a sign. While some genuinely they rather be in their country, they love their country, they would rather stay there and they don't mind you coming over there. So that's a sign that the woman just wants to be with you. And most women do have like this mindset of they just want to move from their country, while some they just want to find love. So I think there's still bad and good apples. Some their intention is just green card. Some they just want a good man in their life. So that's
Is, is that something you would you recommend a man to leave a woman instead? Is that something you would recommend to leave her there and then come visit, from time to time?
Yeah, if you can deal with long distance, it's totally good. We were gonna deal with long distance too, I and my husband, but it's just became like too much, with traveling and the rest. While sometimes, due to I think if a man has like all the resources that he feels he's okay with, like he can totally leave his country to go back to her, then that's good. Like I think it's even best for her to be in a surrounding where all the mindsets of the women and that society entirely has like a traditional mindset. When she's there, she's going to be she's more likely to behave well than being taken away to a place where she's not going to be held accountable for some decisions that she decides to make. She might feel like, oh, since I'm not home, I can do whatever I want to do, things like that.
So in those situations, one might ask, well, when a lot of people think of submissive women, they think of women who are just willing to put up with anything. So my question is, how loyal are African men? And I already know the answer, but be honest.
Well, how loyal are they?
That's
I
hilarious.
would say African men. You know, the problem is this. I can't speak for all. I can't say everyone is not loyal and everyone is loyal. I would say a huge percentage are not. They would keep their home together. That's for sure. That's one thing. African men are family oriented. They will keep their home together. Some of them, and maybe but still be out there. Like it's never over to be out there in the street. But some do. I think in some rare cases, there are cases where the men actually they will destroy their family, their home, just to go and be out there in the street. But
Mess up the crib, man.
so some percentage are actually, it's a huge percentage that are not loyal.
So do you think women over there are much more willing to put up with it, or do you think a lot of them just don't know? Is it just more accepted over there?
Mm, okay, so with the difference that I actually saw here, I think growing up, I thought maybe if there's any problem like in relationships, in marriages, growing up in Africa, I just have this mindset, especially hearing it everywhere, here and there. Like if people have problem like marital issues or relationship issues, it's always like it's the men that are actually who did something wrong. The man actually went out, cheated with this person. So you already have this mindset that men are gonna cheat. Like they're gonna even be telling you like right when you're growing up, you're like, just know you're not the only one. Like he has multiple, he's gonna cheat, he's gonna cheat. And when you already grow up with that mindset, some women just kind of accept it. You understand? It's like an acceptance, like I know he's gonna do it. Like yeah, she might kind of complain here and there. Some of them just simply even ask and be like, I know you're cheating. Oh, the only thing that I want you to do is actually take care of your home. Like this, but don't take all your resources and go and put it all up in another side chick's
Mhm.
life. So because some people have that issues in their homes where the men will just go and be like a sugar daddy, spending most of their money
That's crazy,
with their
man.
side chicks and not even take care of their family, their children's fees and all. So with that mindset, the women just kind of sometimes they put up with it, while some will actually know he's cheating, but they try to like tell themselves that no, that is not happening. You understand? I don't want to know anything. I'm not gonna look at his phone. I'm just gonna avoid that thought, like it's not happening, so we can live like a peaceful life in the home.
Very smart.
So how is it like in the West in situations where a man is actually cheating on his woman?
Um, I think in most cases they don't approve. I think if you are, a celebrity or more higher earning man, I think a lot of them will be able to put up with it because they're providing a lifestyle only a small percentage of men can provide. But I think if you some women, if you let them know, you're upfront and honest with it, and they feel like it's worth it, like, hey man, as long as you don't bring home no STDs, no outside children, no public embarrassment,
Yeah.
I can deal with it. I think most women, honestly, they're as long as there's no STDs, outside children, or public embarrassment. Honestly, I think 9 times out of 10 they'll be able to get through it. Honestly, but yeah, I think a lot of women wouldn't accept it, especially in America, where I think there's a lot of incentive to get divorced because when it comes to a divorce, women oftentimes are the ones winning greatly. When it comes to alimony, when it comes to child support, sometimes the house the man paid for, the woman gets in a divorce, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
I saw that. I was like, wow.
There's a lot of incentive. There's a lot of incentive to leave. When you look at Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, Tiger Woods' ex-wife, they're some of the richest women in the world. When you look at women, female billionaires, most of them are ex-wives of billionaires in
Wow.
America. So it's actually pretty crazy. I think it. No one wants to feel stupid. That's the thing. I think if you're conniving and you go behind their back and do it, a lot of them won't approve. But I think if you kind of you let them know what the deal is beforehand, I think a lot more of them will be more accepting.
But I also think it's also very rare. Like he said, it's better to let them know ahead of time or beforehand. And you have, the ones that agree and will comply, and then you have a lot of people that believe that that's not for them. I think in this country, it's all about status and what you bring to the table and what you can do for them. So if you're an average man, average earning man, they're not going to put up with you sleeping around or cheating because you're average to them. But let you be a Drake or let you be some type of celebrity with money or status or fame, they'll be more reasonable because a lot of people have a price, especially over
Everybody,
here.
everybody has words.
Yeah,
Everybody has a
that is
price,
also
you know.
going on
So
with polygamy too. The whole
exactly,
money.
So they're more likely to, if like let's say a Drake, because of who he is and what he has, they'll put up with him sleeping around or doing whatever he needs to do because of the person he is, and they want to be a part of that lifestyle. But if you're just a regular man, they would never put up with that. So it's not as common here. It's rare that you have women that will want to be along for the ride, but I think it's more common everywhere outside of the West. Polygamy is more so tolerated anywhere outside the U.S.
Yeah, that's true. Mostly, with African countries, most of them they do have like this polygamy that they do among them, and it's like a normal thing. But I think these days, due to like the modern ways and the westernized way that's kind of pushed to them, most people kind of like say no, like no to polygamy. And then for few who accept it, they mostly strictly just want someone who has like a certain amount of money. The person has to be rich. Then they'll be like, I can accept any woman you want. You want to have any number, even if it's 10, 20, 30, as long as you can fund their lifestyle. And they'll be like, totally okay. Like, so it's kind of fixed on what you have, like the money you have now, unlike before those days where a man could actually be poor, like extremely poor, doesn't even have like enough houses for the women. And you will see him with about five, six wives with a lot of kids.
We actually, Prince and I spoke to a fabulous Nigerian woman, and she told a story about, she knew her man was cheating. She gave her man some condoms. She said, "Yo, just don't catch anything." She knew. But again, she's the one who got the last name. She's the one who got the kids. She's the one who got taken cared of. So she also thought like, I really can't control this. I really can't control this. I can't put a tracking device on him and follow his every step.
Yeah.
So since I can't control his actions, I might as well, you know,
Protect.
get the best out of this deal that I possibly can.
Yeah, I think also with that cheating, mostly the women feel like, because if they leave the home, like initially when they have like kids, if they find out the man is cheating in African society, they be like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't leave the home because she's gonna be like looked down upon, like she broke her marriage, and
Mhm.
she's gonna be called a divorcee, and that's not a good look. Like, it's something that is very embarrassing. Like, she's just mostly before you even see in African society, typical traditional African society, if a woman gets divorced, it has to be a case where that marriage was extremely terrible, like extremely hard for her to handle to the extent that maybe it's either life or death, that kind of situation. But it's something that most women would just like endure and endure, like regardless, they just have to keep that home together.
That's crazy. So,
Life or death is crazy.
super
What?
crazy. So when a lot of Western women hear that message, they say, "See, this is why I can't do that." So why do you think there's just a, a farther tolerance of just being able to stick through something like that? Because the kind of what I hear a lot is they fight for marriages over there. Like it's not just one problem.
Yeah.
You go. They understand that there's a lot of ups and downs in relationships, and that you got to fight through those things. You got to work on those things.
Yeah.
But in the West, it almost feels as though, man, one strike and you're out.
I think it's another thing because still I do believe that if let's say things were reversed, right? It's just that I know African men, I don't see them actually ever passing a law where they'll be like, if a woman gets divorced, we're gonna give her all these benefits. I don't think African men will
That's
ever fall for such thing. So that is why it's a law that has not really been passed. So I think if
be
it
broken
was
that's
switched
fast.
up and it
If that
was, let's say, the laws that actually the benefit that women get here in the West is actually given to the women in Africa, then I think in some situations some women will actually leave the homes.
if that law is passed in Africa, all African men gonna be broke because they like having 30 kids at once.
Yeah, because I think they don't have and they're not held accountable for most of the things they do, so they
Yeah.
can really just live life Nobody's gonna
Expect
come and be
who you
like,
want
oh,
and just walk away. Ah man, that's tough.
But you said something that was on point because I'm about to ruffle some feathers. You said something that was on point about um, you know, being a divorcee and how it's shameful in Africa or being a baby mama as they call it. When in the West, it's like they're empowered. You have baby mothers that yeah, I'm a proud baby mother or I'm a proud single mother. Like it's more championed in the West to be a single mother with bastard kids, which makes no sense to me.
yeah,
And it's crazy because I don't know. I just don't get that concept. Um, Lost my chain of thought, but I just think that's a big difference between the West and everyone outside. Like it's really scarce to be a divorcee or a single mom, but over here, oh, somebody's gonna accept me. Somebody's gonna accept my kids. Somebody's gonna marry me.
Government
Somebody's
will
gonna
give you
take
money.
the government. Like they're forever good. They're forever good. But in Africa, let you try it. You'll be a disgrace to the whole nation and village.
exactly.
But
I
but
think most situation where women become single moms in Africa, they are already, you notice they are, if you put them together, put a westernized single mom and a single mom from Africa, if you put them together, listen to their mindset and maybe their demands for a new relationship, you'll be totally surprised at the difference. You'll notice the African woman, her own the demand she used to have when she wasn't a single mom was maybe a little bit higher, but maybe when she was single, if you check the westernized single mom, her demands after being a single mom will be way higher than the African single mom when she was single. So it's just like there's this extreme demand. It seems they even demand more when they are
oh
like
my god.
single moms. When they become single moms, is when their demands become higher than when they were just by themselves.
Yeah, they think their value is very high with all these amount of kids and all these bodies that they have, which doesn't equate. It doesn't make any type of sense. But you will never find that in Africa because in Africa you're basically damaged or used goods.
Yeah,
If you
the
know,
the treatment is not going to be welcoming for the woman. So that's why most women try to avoid being in that situation by all means.
And
saying,
Kevin Samuels used to mention this a lot, where he said back in the days, single mothers knew they had to come with more because they are a single mother. But it seems like today, like you're asking for a lot more from the man who's gonna have to take on another man's child than you would from the father of the kid initially. Like the next guy has to come with even more today.
Yeah,
So that's quite odd.
but I also blame it on the men, especially
Definitely.
here in this country, because I don't. I think if they knew their worth, they wouldn't settle for such a thing because they wouldn't have this mindset if there was constantly men chasing them in their DMs in their face. They wouldn't have that mindset at all.
That as well, and men do a better job with your seed as well. If
I
Exactly.
think I would say I think most men in the West, due to how the women in the Western society kind of behave, I think the men kind of lowered their standards to actually kind of fit the women a lot, which is most things that I think African men would not tolerate and accept. And
Mhm.
for the ones who actually settle for those things, just if they have to deal with Western women, I think they just do it. Haven't you heard of cases where the men leave, run away, and be like, oh, they don't want the green card anymore. They just want to leave.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
crazy.
That's a
So,
fact.
what African country do you think is the best country to find a wife?
Don't be biased either.
Huh?
Don't be biased.
No, I'm not trying to be bad. I think in every African country, you're going to find a good woman. So, me specifically pointing out one country is it's not going to make sense at all because I know for sure if you go to every African country, you're going to find a good African traditional woman. It just depends on, because regardless, like even if you say everybody, people in this place are good, people in this place are bad, there are still good and bad people everywhere. So finding a good traditional African woman is going to be everywhere in Africa as long as you know what you want and you go there. Once you see a good one, you can spot it. Like you can check a woman's behavior and know how she is. They're still going to be the ones that have westernized mindset everywhere you go. That's for sure. You're going to find some feminists, all of that. But it's just the amount of them, it's not a lot like in the Western society. So that is why you have like a huge option to find good women.
Okay, so you don't have one specific country, but can you give us some of the better countries to find some wives?
Better countries to find wives. I think you should go like there are good women in like East Africa. There are good women in West Africa. Then specific countries, people who are really like extremely marriage minded. Since you said wives, they're gonna start. Uganda is a good place because because they pursue marriage like really seriously. They just want to get married, like so. You're gonna get that from Uganda, and also I think let me see, Kenya, and I think everywhere they would want wives. Definitely, those places they want to be wives. They want to get married. Then you should avoid some countries that are kind of very, very westernized. Like I'm reading a comment here. I think I saw a comment that says South Africa has a more is more westernized.
It is definitely.
Mm.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I said South Africa seems to be more Western than other African countries. I also heard the country is violent, but in fairness, I haven't been there to say for sure. So there are some African countries that do have a more westernized mindset. It is actually westernized mindset is kind of pushed almost everywhere in Africa, but
You got the
just
big.
that a place that actually embraced it more and have a lot of Western people coming in, trooping in. Usually when you have a group of people who keep coming into a place and dominating, before you know it, they'll be passing their ways, like their cultures. They'll be influencing the place little by little. So avoid such places if you don't want a westernized woman.
Interesting, interesting. So do African women? Because you say there's a plethora of wives, right? So
Yeah.
that would lead someone to believe I could talk to a few girls at once, right? Without getting. Well,
Yeah, you get to know them.
with a situation where like, all right, I'm not just talking to you only. I'm talking to playing the field. Would they be okay? Would they be jealous and vindictive?
Mm, women are jealous naturally, so
Mhm.
the
Hell
only time she won't be jealous is only if she doesn't like you, and maybe she's just
yeah.
there just to be there. But if a woman is jealous of you and is trying to like have you for herself, that's actually she really likes you. And if you are still talking to like multiple, you're getting to know multiple. I think it's good to be upfront in such situation. Like if you meet a woman and let's say you have the intention of dating multiple women or you have the intention of getting to know multiple women, you'd be like, this is what I'm doing. Like I want to talk to multiple women. I think if you tell somebody upfront, this is what I want to do, this is my own plan. I plan on having multiple wives. I plan on talking to multiple women. Tell them upfront. So whoever stays already knows what to expect rather than not saying it at all and then later it's like you're surprising the person, you're shocking them. Because I've heard situations where I've seen situations where men will marry women and be like, oh, you're just going to be the only wife, and then later it's like the woman is hearing stories about the man getting married to someone else in another neighborhood. It's like what is going on? So I think that's like a betrayal. It's good to be upfront and just say it. Most women will even be okay with it, they'll accept it and respect you for that.
Interesting. What are some of the traits that African women have that some of the Western women are lacking?
That okay, they are alike. The similarities between them.
Uh, no, the differences actually.
Okay. Um. Well, the traits they have is I think we've been submissive. I think some Western women really do not. I don't think they don't really like that. When they hear the word submissive, they feel like, oh, I'm just gonna be be a slave like to the man, and like they're not gonna have this power to actually decide, make decisions in relationship and the rest. But with African women, being submissive is not something that is offensive to them. Like if you say, "Are you gonna be submissive? Are you submissive?" It's not an offensive thing to them. They're happy. I think because of the way we're actually trained growing up, it's always you're gonna be someone's wife and you're supposed to actually take care of that home, like all the needs, the normal home duties that you're supposed to do. It's a woman's job and not something that she should let a man do. So with cooking and cleaning, all those things are a natural thing that has it became natural due to growing up with it from little. Like you're trained to do that. You were actually raised to take care of your man, take care of your children, and all
Mhm.
of that. So I think that's a difference with Western women because they feel like they want to put like the role of a woman, the natural role of a woman, they're trying to like enforce it on a man and tell the man to do it. Like you can do that. So
They were raised to be wives in Africa. That's what it seems like.
yeah, that is how it is. And I don't really know how like what are the things that women are actually taught in homes like in the Western society. What do moms actually, because it's I think a woman is the one who kind of raises
Yeah,
a girl child. So what
it
is that?
appreciates
How do you think they're raised in the Western society?
how do I think they're raised. I think that they aren't taught. I think they have more of a hands off approach. I don't think they're not being intentional. I don't think uh mothers in America. I don't think they're thinking about, okay, like I want to make sure she has the traits to be a wife. I think they just like raise her without the intentionality. I think in Africa it's different, where it's like I gotta make sure she becomes a wife. Like it's a high priority for them. I just don't think it's a high priority for women in America. It's just like it'll happen when it happen. Manifest them, pray. He'll come to you. You'll find your husband at the right time. It's kind of like that. And again, like Prince said earlier, when you live in a society where men are constantly in your DMs, approaching you with regularity in person, you're getting favorable treatment from a young age, and mind you, it these are average women, sometimes fat women, who's getting this kind of attention. So you can only imagine how the above average or better looking women, how they're getting treated, how much attention they're getting on the regular basis. So the men have created a dating culture where a lot of women don't have to do much. There's not really an incentive to improve themselves, not really much incentive to become a wife, because if, especially in a swipe left, swipe right society, if you don't have it, I know someone who would want me just the way I am. I know someone who would accept me, curves and all, big belly and all. It don't matter. It don't matter. There's someone out there who would accept me for me. Well, not really. There's someone out there who would have sex with you, but it's not someone who proposed to you, which a lot of women don't understand. So I think it's just there's not an incentive at a young age. It's not, those conversations aren't being had. It's just you'll find them when you find them. And I think mainly they don't care what a man wants. They don't care what a man wants in a relationship. They care what a man can provide for them. And again, I mentioned before, it's because of the culture, the dating culture that men have created. If you stop giving fat or ugly women the attention, then they'll act right, right? The reason why the African men in Africa get submissive women, because there's things that they won't tolerate. It's either you do this or I'm moving on. Plain and
But
simple.
and there's a huge competition. Like if you're not competitive, especially when like the man is at that particular age where he's like ready to settle down and he's looking for a wife, if you're not competing, you have like the woman has to keep it in mind that she's not the only one competing for that position of being his wife. Like multiple people are trying also. So if she is not doing what he wants, then she can just be switched up immediately to someone else will just replace her and take the position.
And
I
that's the thing as well, where I think a lot of women from a young age, they're taught that men should compete for them and not vice versa.
Yeah.
Difference.
unfortunately, what you guys just both said, it's right. Over here, to them, it's an inflation of men. There's too many men for them to choose because based on the attention that they're getting, but the attention that they're getting are from men that want to sleep with them. So they equate that to the value of, okay, I have so many men that want to be with me. They don't want to be with you.
Exactly.
They want to sleep with you, or they're just tolerating you for the moment. And I think a lot of Western women are raised to be prostitutes. To be honest, um, uh, because look at what the results have shown us. There's a lack of quality here, and at first, it starts from home, and a lot of people in this country are coming from single parent households. A
Yeah.
lot of people are raised strictly from their mothers. And you take the father not being the home, or even if whether the father is there or not, a majority of the women in this country, you'll see there's a pattern of I have daddy issues, and because I have those daddy issues, I'm gonna go out here and lose myself, lose my mind, and lose my purity. So that they never face that reality check. They face it later in life when they're washed up or used up, 3 4 kids in, overweight. But by that time, it's just simply too late. There's no type of correction here. There's no type of accountability here, and the discipline is not also there. But what you are taught is to be independent. That's the number one thing they teach you. Be independent so that you don't need nobody. So it goes to the point, even the women that are educated, that are doing well for themselves, even in this country, they're still struggling to find a man because they equate their success and them being independent. And I have this degree, that degree, I have this house or this car, but you don't have any kids to show for it, and you don't have any man to show for it. So it's different spectrums, but they have the same results in the West. And if you look at their history, you look at their past, if you look at their parents, it will show you why they are the way that they are. Simple as that.
And the way some modern women in the West talk down on women for wanting to be wives, for women to even want to have children. Like I can't even imagine an African woman just not wanting kids. Just like, yeah, I don't want kids. Just
Yeah, I was actually surprised like to hear women here. Some would just be like strictly like they don't want kids. They
I
don't.
don't want my
I think
body.
I think the behavior of a woman who I like people have choices, they decide what they want, but I think women who like just most Western women who say they don't want kids, I think it's the mindset of like being selfish. Because I
Hmm.
think a person who's a mother, like you already, being a mother has to be like when you're a parent, you have to not think about yourself totally from that point. You have to look at someone else, take care of that child, nurture that child, and it's like everything your daily life, you're living for that person, you're living for those children. So maybe those women just like there's this selfishness. It's like I don't want to have to stop looking at myself and look at someone else. So I'm actually it's something that I've never maybe I don't know if there's some who actually think that way, but I've never really heard that coming from Africa. I've not heard women who be like,
Never.
if I get married, I don't want to have kids.
You never.
It even
Because
makes no sense. Or not
no,
even get married. Women who don't that doesn't exist in Africa either. Women just don't want to get married.
Yeah.
you're right. You don't see that. Like you said, it's all about I, because you'll hear, oh, I won't get a chance to live my life. I won't get a chance to party and turn up and all this foolishness. And go on these vacations or whatever you want to call it. Whoever's funding these trips, but you know,
I think a lot of women in the West as well, they underestimate the value of being a mother, and they underestimate how that's gonna make them feel as well. I think a lot of women don't realize being a mother is one of the greatest things a woman could possibly feel.
Yeah. I think it's to me, I just like I rule it out as selfishness once I just see that mindset. Like if any woman says so, I already know that It's like it's one thing for a woman to say, okay, she fears like childbirth, but for her to just say totally like she doesn't want to have kids, like it's the kids that she just doesn't want, then to me, I find that as a person who has a selfish mentality, they just want to think about themselves and never want to have to take care of someone else. And if that woman has that mentality already, it's a sign that she can't even take care of her own man too, because at the end of the day, I think for a woman is actually supposed to be raised up to know that a man is actually like if you are with a man, you're supposed to take care of that man. So it's more like you're having like that. Your man should be like a grown-up kid to you, because believe it or not, men want to be actually nurtured and taken care of too. Like despite regardless of their age, they'll protect the home, they'll go out there, work, provide for the family. But still, like when they are home, they want to be taken care of like kids too. So
Hmm.
if she can't take care of a kid, then how can she even take care of her own man?
So, how do you what do you think is the best way for a man to approach a woman in Africa to try to be their wife?
If you want to approach a woman, I think first thing first, don't women are easy to approach. Like if a man knows how to communicate with a woman, like just they're normal people, we're humans, just normal conversations. Like no need to actually have like a special line or something. Just have normal conversation. If the woman likes you, you like her, things are gonna go well. And I think the best way is not to like go with the approach of, oh hey, I want a wife. Like, I want a wife right now. Things like that. Since most women want, there are some women who their mindset is just having like a wedding. Maybe they're not really prepared for what comes after marriage, like the whole wedding party and the rest. So their mindset is to just, I told you, like being married, there's this good reputation to it in the African society. So maybe that woman is just like desperate, like she just wants to have this status symbol, like I'm a married woman. But then not everyone who wants that status symbol is ready for what comes after, like the being in that home, being married. So if you approach a woman that way, she might just maybe thinking about that wedding, like that marriage, that moment. So you can just go, yeah, you have the intention of getting married, but you have to select, you have to be patient and actually check her and see how her behavior is. But what is her personality like? Is that someone you want to be with forever? Because I think with marriage, there's more to it. Like you have to like that person you're with, like their personality, not just like this lust that you have at that first moment you meet them, because later that loss and everything from the beginning is going to fade away, and then you're getting to deal with serious life business when challenges come in that marriage. How are you able to deal with it? Is that someone you're able to communicate with? Is communicating with that person easy? Are they, can they, if like, are they, how are they, their behavior? So I think it's something a man should kind of check first in the beginning, make sure she is actually wife material first before you kind of let her know that your intentions are actually marriage. Yeah, you might tell her, yeah, you're serious in the beginning, you want to get married, but let it not be that you close every other thing, you're not checking her, and that's strictly what you're going for that
Mhm.
moment.
Now, what's the best way to approach the African woman for miscellaneous activities?
To get, huh?
What's the
I
best
didn't
What's the best way to approach an African woman if you're not looking for a relationship, but you
For
like?
sex. Just say it for
Oh,
sex.
yeah, there's like a lot of that. There are a lot of women who, we have, I think in this Western society, most of the Western society, like having like pro stuff like that is not legal. It's illegal, right? So, but in most of the African societies, they are like all those things are legal, and then also there are promiscuous women, a lot of promiscuous women. But so you can approach a woman. I think if you find someone who is okay with that, if you want to be straight and just say, "Oh, this is it, this is what I want," then you're gonna get that. If you're looking for a good traditional woman, you can find her, and you're looking for someone you just want to have fun with. I think by just talking to a woman and hearing her mindset and her personality what she's doing, is she partying, things like that. You can know if she's someone who's comfortable with just fun.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think some men would actually just want fun, and they might go into a situation where they might get with just any woman, and before you know it, she is like she'll just tie herself up in his life, and it's like you can't get rid of me at that point.
Are promiscuous women more ridiculed in Africa?
It gets women ridiculed very well. But I think despite being people being ridiculed, you still can't get rid of some group of people from a society regardless. Because some people don't care about ridicules or anything, they still live their life how they want to live it.
That's very true. That's very true. Why do you think so many women in the West view women who are submissive as a slave?
Um, I think it's actually the way they were raised. They were raised to, like you said, since most of them are actually, they grew up in a home where most the men were actually chased off in some cases, and maybe the man they got divorced, and then the mother has to be the one who kind of raised the woman. So being in that kind of society, we're almost everywhere. Like growing up in Africa, I think in my like growing up as a child up to teenage years, I have not really been with in school with anyone who told me, oh hey, like my mom is divorced. I Me personally, I've never really met that. Or my mom is a single mother, things like that. Most of them have like their dad and their mom in their homes. They all came from, it's either maybe a case where the husband actually lost his life or the mother lost her life, and then there's a stepmom, things like that. But never heard like, oh, I'm a single mother. But in the West, it's like it's a way of life. So it's a normal thing. And so with that mindset growing up, they are not really taught how to the
Mm.
right way to view a man. They just see a man as most of them. They just see them as people who are donating the the existence of the child or something like donors. So once they hear this thought of, oh, take care of a man, they're like, wait, how? Like that's slavery, because it is not how they didn't grow up that way. But for African women who actually like they grew up with that mindset. They were trained to actually take care of a man, take care of a home, care for their children, love them, and want the best for them. So the mindset is just it depends on. I think it's just basically them growing up in a society that doesn't care about a man. So that's why the Western women view submissiveness as something that is called slavery.
So a lot of women interpret that message as, okay, you want me to go to work, work hard, come home, cook and clean for you. Like that's a whole lot. Like when am I gonna have time to myself? So is that something that African women are just more readily willing to do, or do you think that what these women are describing is hard to accomplish?
I think all those things, yeah, it's something that African women are ready to do because it's nothing to the woman. And I think in many cases, African women will still, most of them might not even be like a stay at home wife. They will go to work, the man will go to work, but still, she'll still be keeping the responsibility of like taking care of her home, doing all those things and all her duties. And then the man does his own. So, it's just I think it's just growing up and you're taught that, so it's not to you, it's not, it's like something that is a part of you. Because like I said, I use this example. If you're asked like, you're not gonna say, for instance, if they say, oh, how are you doing, you'd be like, yeah, I'm good, like I have my hands. And it's like you already have your hands as part of your body, so you're not going to be viewing it as if it's something special that is there in your body. You understand? So
Mhm.
asking, like I said, when you ask a Western woman, like, what do you bring to the table? What can you do? Some of them might mention, oh, I can cook and clean. And it's like that should already be something that you know and should not be mentioned like it's something special.
They don't
So
even do that.
Mhm.
They don't even do that.
so it's not something special. It's normal. So it is just a natural thing that comes with time being raised like that. And yeah, but you should tell me how the women behave in the Western world. What do they? How do they view doing like the house chores, cleaning, cooking? Most of them, how do they view it as?
Prince, you look like you want something to say about that, so go ahead.
No, I think it's like you. It's just more so tedious because, like you said, it's like what he said about I gotta work, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and then I gotta come home. So it's like for them, it's a lot, and it's overwhelming. But if you look at back at history, our parents did it, our grandparents there did it, so on and so forth. This has been going on for generations, and I think when they did it, it was just
It was hard.
it
Jim
was
Crow slavery. It was a tough.
exactly
Do you think
exactly.
women are happier? Like women in the West, are they? Do they live like a more fulfilled life? Are they happier? The independent and strong women, are they happier than the traditional African women?
I I personally don't think so because in the long run, when it's all said and done, they find themselves alone. It's as simple as that, and they don't realize that until their latter years, until they really hit 30, 35, and plus, and they look back and it's like, okay, what do I have to show for it besides my degree or besides me being financially stable? But I have nobody to share it with. You can't keep a man and you have no children, So I think in the long run, they're not as happy. But when they're going through their 20s and trying to develop and find themselves, I don't think they think about that because they're focused on living life, having fun, just living their best life. But I think it's later when they realize that. But they don't work on things like cooking and cleaning. To them, those are things that are not essential. But you need that in everyday life for yourself, and if you choose to have a partner, and if you choose to have some kids. But that's not something that's pushed. So that's why, like, you'll see it, and we can attest to it, where there's a lot of women that don't know how to cook, that don't know how to clean, that don't know just simple life skills. And that's something that should have been taught from home. That's something that should have been taught from growing up. And you'll hear, oh, uh, I wasn't taught that. You'll hear that, oh, I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught that. But uh, excuse my language. So I'm about to say something crazy. So you hear, I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught how to cook. I wasn't taught how to do this. I wasn't taught how to do that. But who taught you how to suck dick?
But wait, so how do if they weren't taught that, then how were they taught to? Because I believe that these women would be like, oh, it's a man's responsibility. You should do that. How do they know what a man is supposed to do? Because I believe it or not, I think these women still want men who keep their traditional roles.
Yeah, they want traditional roles when it's convenient. So yeah, open the door for me, make a certain amount of money, cater to me, take care of me, do all these things. They think men should have their traditional roles, but
Yeah.
when it's the other way around, it's like, no, that's you're trying to control me, or you want me to be a slave, you want me to be all these things. So whenever it's convenient for them, basically,
Yeah, that's really crazy though. Because I mean, if you really weren't taught to be a woman, a wife, you don't know what to do in a home, then you shouldn't know what a man is supposed to do then. Because apparently, because I notice women are always like quick to actually say, "Oh, a man should do this. A man should cater to me. A man should." Spend money on me, things like that. Like, do you know what to say a man's supposed to do? A man's supposed to lift the heavy stuff, but then when it comes boils down to actually them doing their own roles and doing what they're supposed to do, and it's like they don't know how to do it. So it's just,
yeah.
yeah, like you said, it's just convenience. Like whenever it's convenient for them, then they would say all of that.
They never had to find out what men want. because men are the ones approaching women. Men are the ones going above and beyond to get with women. So they never had to sit there and be like, "Well, damn, what does my future husband want from me?" They never had to do it. And when you have this abundance of options, you think they're gonna last forever. You just think when I'm ready, I'll just pick one, the one that I want the most when I'm ready. But that's just not how it works.
Yeah. We have a few comments, and let me read some of them.
It'll be interesting.
Velvet Music said, girls in the West are taught to be independent and successful versus raised to have a family and skills to help the family.
Your career doesn't last forever. A family does.
Yeah. No. Natasha, great convo. Thank you. Um, Somi is here in the house. Hello, Somi. I've had a live chat with Somi on African women conversation before. African American women don't undervalue the meaning of parenthood. They understand the difficulty of parenthood without a husband who shares the responsibility. Well, what do you guys think?
I'm rereading now and why don't you have a husband? That's my question.
Well, the African American women are not as bad as everyone tries to make them out to be. The result is women filling a role they were never intended to fill. But oh well, I'll disagree with this one. I think there are some cases where maybe men would actually leave, like not take the responsibility of them in a like home, a certain way they have children. But then the women sometimes, I think in most cases that we keep hearing online on social media, it's the women who actually chase those men away from keeping their role. The men won't have the intention of actually taking care of those children, and it's not, I don't think it's saying, oh, the women in the West actually, like, all of them are bad, but it's just that the ones who are good, their numbers are not good, like they're not uh big enough to kind of cover the reputation of the ones
The
who are bad.
good women are quiet. That's the issue. The bad women are loud. So those are the ones that get focused on the most. And yes, there's always going to be situations where a woman is ideal to a man and fills her head with lies and she can't see through the wool that's been drug over her eyes. I get that, and she might impregnate her and then go about his day. I get that, but I think for the most part, if you take the time to properly vet and choose, the correct man and have a husband, I think you'll be better off. You
Yeah, I do
shouldn't.
think sometimes some women actually intentionally they choose men that are not gonna be actually good
Yeah,
parents or keep their
yeah.
like take
I
responsibility
think
for whatever children they have, and they purposely know that this man will do it, but still, it's, I don't know if it's delusion, but it's accepting that, oh yeah, he's gonna change for me, things like that. That actually results to all the whole single parenthood for some women.
I was just about to say that about the whole single parenthood because based on whoever said that, you look at the statistics. Statistics will show you. Um, and like you said, I think there's a bit of delusion there because let's be honest. We all have a mind. We all have a brain, and we can tell and we can see red flags.
Yeah, true.
But how many of us avoid it? We can't act like we're Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder. We can't act like we can change the person. We most likely see the red flags, and
mm,
some of us stick around longer than we need to,
Yeah.
and then usually by that time, it's too late. So the accountability has to be there because single motherhood shows, you know, and Glass helped me here because even Kevin Samuels he stated that a lot of the things here in America, especially when it comes to government assistance, they better the women. You
yeah.
can't you can't even have a man in the household without getting certain things. So a lot of the things are built and set up that way. So it's really you who gets to choose. Do you want a man in the home or do you want free assistance? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of our women have chose free assistance basically.
I
And
heard
there's
one who said the government is a husband or something. It's a baby daddy.
and unfortunately that's what it is.
If you're getting government assistance, please don't think you're independent. Please
You're
don't. Please,
exactly,
yeah, they be blowing minds with that, man. Collecting welfare checks and Section 8, talking about I'm strong and independent. No, you're not. You're weak and feeble, actually.
exactly,
You have help. That's not independency. You have help. You might not
And
have
then
the
a lot,
best
like you're not independent if you're collecting child support.
you're you're
Depending
not
on someone.
you're not. And
ones.
a lot of people really play with that word independent when you're independent but you have a sugar daddy, or you're independent but you sell feet pics to men. Like it just doesn't, like,
And
come on.
and also, like, that's not a flex, right? Paying your own bills is not a flex. You're an
No,
adult. That's being an adult is not a flex. That's the bare
At
minimum.
all, it's no fun. No.
If you own a house and a car, congrats. You're not independent. You're just an adult. Because most people have those things. That's not something to just cheer about. Like, congrats, you
um,
got the bare minimum.
I think every majority of the adults we have today, if if they were told, okay, would you be a kid today and be taken care of, like most of them would be like, yeah, like I want to be a kid and just don't have any responsibility to deal with. So I don't know how some people are proud, like to say, oh, they're independent, they don't need anyone in their life, and it's kind of, I don't know, like I think it's everybody's mindset, whatever feels good to them, let them keep doing it.
exactly.
Man, tough.
Everybody, make sure please you click the like button. Guys, subscribe to Important Miscellaneous Talks. Please, let me see. She commented, I think, Fabian. American women's happiness depends a lot on the quality of life their man provides for them. If the man is unproductive, their life is stressful.
But the point I'm trying to make is don't pick an unproductive man. That's the point I'm trying to make. If he's
Yeah,
unproductive, why are you with him? If he's unproductive, why are you letting him nut in you? Don't pick him. Don't give him the time of day.
I
I
think
think
most
women do a
people
good job of picking good short term partners, but not a good job of picking long term partners. That's the issue.
as an adult, I think it's very, very good for someone to be able to take responsibility if they know they mess up, like rather than trying to like blame it on others. If you know you can, because believe it or not, every day there's one thing that we have in life. We have the right to make decisions. If you want to do this or that, if you meet people, you come in contact with people in your life that have red flags, you're making the decision to keep going on with them. You're making the decision to keep them in your life. You are actually intentionally doing that. So it's either you're the one who's kind of keeping all the red flags aside and saying, "Oh no, I'm just gonna keep going. Maybe things are gonna change, or maybe I'll just decide to be blind and not see all those things that are bad that I shouldn't stay with this person with." But I think people are just not trying to take responsibility for their actions. That is what is
Exactly.
going on these days. They are not accountable. Like if you made a bad decision in your life, just say it. Yeah, I made a bad decision.
I
Exactly.
think we're the only constant in our lives problems. We're the only thing that's consistent in everything you have going on in your life. You're the only one that's been involved in every single thing. So it's no one else's fault but your own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Prince, if someone was looking for a wife in the West, what do you think is the best way for them to do that?
That's tough. But the best way to look for a wife in the West, look elsewhere.
Look elsewhere.
I'm just being honest. There's a reason why there's a movement right now. This passport bros movement is very, very hot right now. Um, People are leaving their home country to go find wives elsewhere. You don't see, it's not often. Well, okay, you mentioned that, okay, women from other countries, they want Western men, but do men from other countries want Western women? Like, do you see that chase? Do you
That's
see
a
that?
bar.
You know,
That's a
because
bar. there.
Exactly. You don't really hear that. That's not really a big thing right now. It's the other way around. But
And more importantly, do they want to marry Western women? Because sure, they might want to get a nut off, but do they want to marry a Western woman?
n-
That's the key right there.
I think when people think of the West, I think the last thing that comes to mind is marriage, especially with Western women. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. So,
When I was back in Nigeria, like most of the time, I'll see men who actually live in the West. Who most of them just left Africa. Some of them they go to the West and then they return. Like at some certain time in their life, they will return and marry someone maybe from their village, their hometown, and then go back. I'm like, wait, what is going on? Like, do they not have women there in the country that they were in? Because why are they returning to get married to someone? And then I didn't really understand why. It took me some time to realize the reason why most of them are running away. Some even had like situations where they got married to some women in the West. It's rarely though, but for some who actually fell into doing that, they ended up having divorce, and then they have to go back home to find a wife again.
mhm,
So it's like, why are they avoiding the women there in the West and then going back home to get married?
because if you look at it, you look at Arab people. They either go back home or it's someone within their own Arab community, Chinese, Indian, African. Everybody stays within their lane. It's not often or that they pop out and really deal with Western,
You know,
women.
although black American men marry American women at a high rate, we
Yeah.
still date out the most. And you know why, right? Because you don't see, like he mentioned, many other men of other races dating out. You don't see Indian men or Middle Eastern men dating out of their race often. You don't see Asian men dating out of the race often. You don't even see you see some white men, but for the most part, you still see white men in their own race. Even Hispanic men are loyal to their race as well.
Yeah.
So why are we dating out the most? You know, these are questions that need answers. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying that the women are the only issue, because Lord knows, men need to do their part as well. But
Yeah, it
why-
goes both ways. I think to have like a successful relationship, how the two need to actually work together, because then at least there will be a balance rather than one person putting in effort and being the good one, and then the other one is not putting in effort or doing anything at all.
it,
Then the relationship isn't gonna work, and the worst is when two are not even doing anything good
it
to.
does it does work both ways. But a Mexican could cross the border illegally, collect cans all day, and still come home to a submissive wife.
Yeah,
That's crazy. It's
yeah.
freaking
I
crazy.
noticed
And you're saying
mostly.
50K is not good enough. Jose's getting submissive wife for cans, and
Or,
50K is not good enough.
or they'll go and sell fruit on the side of the road, and they'll come back to a submissive wife, food on the table.
Outside Home
He'll,
Depot.
they'll be outside Home Depot looking for work. They still get respect from their women. They're still the king of their household when they step into the house.
Yeah. I think most people these days they kind of let money define how they should behave. Like it's always like it's either, oh, this person is not earning enough for me to respect them.
Hmm.
I don't think. I think it's just a new way that women actually developing and starting to kind of have like that particular requirements to actually be with someone. They put. I think there's a certain way that women look at men. The first thing they look at a man in a man for most westernized women is just the finance that this man can produce. Even some African women, mostly they will look at a man and it's like, okay, how is this man's financial status? And I do not think like finance should just be the only thing that a man actually brings in a home. That is not where life, and that's not what life revolves around. So looking at just finance, that's why some women end up marrying men just because of the money that they see that man, like, oh, this man has like a lot of money. And at the end of the day, they'll be in that relationship and they are not satisfied because that's what they were looking at in the first place. They didn't look at anything else to see if that man actually is good or anything. Is the money? Does he have money? Okay, then he checked all the other boxes. Let me just get into it straight.
I think women care less about the money and more about the lifestyle that the money can provide for them. I think that's what they're truly after. They're after the trips. They're after the
That's it.
first class flights. They're after the hotels, the vacationing in Hawaii for a month if they choose to do so. I think that's what they're after. Also,
Dubai.
yeah, that's a whole other story. Also, in the black community, the black American culture is very big, and I think that we're one of the few communities that look up to actors, entertainers, and athletes. And when you look at these men, the athletes, they're millionaires by 22, 23, and they're able to afford that lifestyle. The rappers, same thing. The big name rappers, they're rich at an early age. So a lot of our women, our community flock to those men because they're the ones who have the clout, the status, the money to provide the lifestyle that they want. So oftentimes, men who don't make that kind of money, they're looked at as less than because they can't provide what they can. And because we look up to them so much, some women have this weird mindset that these men are common and you can get a millionaire any day. And there's a whole bunch of men who are millionaires by 23. The average millionaire is actually in their 60s, but that's what our women flock to.
Me personally, I had no idea that usually when women, or maybe plus men, I think I don't really know. But for women, I think I had no idea that usually when they watch like celebrities, people at the top, how their life is, I had no idea that they used to put it like in their own head. They let it get to their head and want to live exactly the way those people are living, or do
Yo,
exactly what they're doing, whatever they have going on in their life. If they advise them, do they take it? To me, like even with music, songs, and the rest, I just listen to it, and sometimes I don't even know who is the artist. Like I just listen to the music and I vibe to it, but I had no idea that people put like so much into the life of a celebrity. Go and watch how they're living. Uh, Maybe try to kind of have some of their take in their behaviors, what they do. Um, I didn't know until now that I'm realizing that many people take this thing seriously.
They they like fuck boys. That's what gets them wet and horny. For real. You got tattoos or you're doing illegal things. You got you a gun or whatever. You live a life of crime. Oh my god, it gets them hard. What?
bro, you have 3 or 4 of those things. Like what, bro? What was describing himself?
Listen, that's her off the air type stuff.
And some women believe that that lifestyle is actually accessible. Like that's something that's realistic for them. And then not only that, here's the thing: they want those kind of men to be loyal to them and only them.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy. Imagine become a millionaire. And say, yeah, I just want one. A millionaire at 22. Yeah, I just want one girl forever. Like that's common.
Nah, that's kind of unbelievable to say.
Crazy. Or they want you to love God too. No, it's great to love God. I mean,
Yeah, I do
like
think sometimes like there's an impossible demand
you can't
Yeah.
live a
that
life of
women tend to
crime.
make.
You can't live a life of crime and just be fire baptized. Like what? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Like what?
So my final question is: if you could change one thing about Western women, what would it be? If you could change one thing about African women, what would it be?
Mm, well, one thing, if I can change anything about the Western woman, is to actually, I would say it's actually change their mindset on saying they don't like need a man in their life, and to like look at a man like he's an enemy, because he's not. And they should stop like trying to be a man. I feel like they should rest in their femininity and appreciate them being women actually, and love themselves, love them being women, and appreciate the fact that they were actually created to be women, and embrace it. And just, I think it's something to be grateful for. Like, you're a woman, just take it. That was the way you were created, Just take all the things that you're supposed to be as a woman and appreciate it. Don't try to be a man. Don't think you don't need a man in your life. Don't think you shouldn't choose the path of being lonely, like at
Mm.
all. Choose a good man, make the right decision to be with a good man rather than just chasing someone who's going to be breaking your heart here and there and say it's fun. That is what fun is, because it's crazy. Then for African women, I would say one thing I would change with most of the African women is they actually they're kind of like looking down on their mothers. Most of African women, there's this mentality going on, like, oh, my mom actually, I think my mom suffered. She was extremely submissive to my dad, my grandmother. They're extremely traditional. Oh, it's a modern world. I wish I can change some mindset of some African women so that they can appreciate the traditional values that Africa has and just like remain in it, because that is what has kept us together for the longest, for us to still have families and homes, unlike trying to embrace something that is not yours. To appreciate them being Africans, to appreciate them being this being submissive, being having a home. Most importantly, they shouldn't look down on it. So that is what I'll change for most women who mindset is kind of drifting away.
Got you. I just started. That was my final question, but I just thought of something. Because you said you're married, correct?
Yeah.
How long have you been married for?
I've been married for almost 2 years now.
Nice, nice. Wow, that's wow. Teenager. So, so what are my truly final question? What are some of the ways that you rest in your femininity with your man?
Some of the ways that I rest in it is actually me being like I kind of respect. I think with me being with my husband, I respect him and let him lead, and because I accept that I am an emotional person. Like being a woman, I know that we have like emotions. So some of the emotions actually affect our decision making. Like for a man, if you let him actually take the lead and make decisions, especially when you're with a good man, not so. I wouldn't say it's every man, because if a person actually has like logical thinking, the person is most likely to lead the home in the right way. He will make a decision quicker, and he's not going to make a decision that is going to be bad for us. He's going to make a decision that will be good for me at the end of the day, and also like good for the home entirely. So resting in your femininity is actually letting that man lead. Doesn't mean you can't like chip in and give advice sometimes, because you can give advice and be like, oh, I think this, that. Like a woman still has like an important role. Like despite the fact that they say be submissive, you still have like important role to kind of give your man advice on some certain things that you can give advice on, and then he let him make decisions. It is more easier. And if anything goes bad, since he's the one that made the decision, at least you don't have to take the blame in the first place. It's him, because you give like you're giving him everything. Like okay, and take over this and let it be in your hands. So him being a logical thinker. So I think that's actually a way that I rest in my femininity, and I take care of the home. I do my duties. I don't see something I was supposed to do as a woman. I don't tell the man to do it, because it's I let him do his own thing as a man, and I do my own thing as a woman. I'm not trying to be him, and he's not trying to be me. So that's it.
I
And
have a question. Oh, after that, after you.
I have a final comment. When you're allowing him to lead, I think is important because women will hear that be like, "Oh, I let him lead, and he led me right to, off a cliff." Right. So you have to give a man the opportunity to fail as well because that's how we learn. That's
Yeah.
how we're able to become better leaders is learning from the failures. Some women they'll let the man lead for a little while, but then once he fails, they want to get back on. Also, when you let him lead you gotta take your hand off the steering wheel, right? You can't let him lead like halfway or some of it, and you kind of still want to have like one hand on the wheel while he's driving. You gotta let him lead. You guys sit in the passenger seat comfortably and let him lead. And he might crash once or twice, but he'll learn from it. You'll stop
I
crashing.
actually had to learn that the hard way. Like I think most when we were dating, I think most of the time like he would advise me on some certain things to do. Because I think I'm kind of person like being a woman, like sometimes you can get indecisive with making decisions. And I noticed when I was rejecting some advice that he was giving me, he would tell me, "Oh, do this. This is what you're supposed to do." Then I ended up failing. Like in most cases, I would notice, oh, that decision that I made was totally wrong. I shouldn't have done this. I should have done what he said I should do. I noticed that I was having like a lot of regrets with my decision making. So that's why I totally just say, okay, I'm just gonna listen because it is easier for me. Like life became much more easier.
My question is something me and him we both spoke about and we both noticed. What's going on with African women and their foreheads?
Okay, big forehead.
You had
Yeah,
the
like
first to that.
no, I'm. This is really a concern of mine. Um,
Um,
because having a big forehead is one thing, but if you got braids and they start from back here, I think that's kind of crazy.
it's I would say it's mostly genetics. Maybe mostly we have foreheads, but I would say the one place that is going to have like big forehead is Somali.
Oh my God.
So that is one thing that I recognize them with, and also even South Africans too. Aren't you South African?
Yeah, yeah, no. Nah, it's crazy. Like I
Taking
try
back.
to no, I do ignore it, but some people, it's just straight forehead. It's all you can see. And
I have a big forehead too.
yeah.
And it's actually just I would say it's based on genetics from some for some countries they have like big forehead, while some they don't really have it. So it's not, you can't say it's all African thing. Just maybe the few women you met, and some do have big forehead. South Africans too, I noticed they have big forehead.
But
And
I'm I'm thinking because they're getting, African women love braids. What? They love braids, so they get their braids so damn tight
yeah, that's
that
kind of affected too. I think if people, I've heard some women saying if they go to some American women say if they go to like an African braid store, they braid their hair really tight because they make sure they braid every part of the hair. Like if they see any hair in the head, they need to braid that particular part, and it it cuts the hair and takes it backward.
for real, they look like
All
they
from
have
his nature.
yeah, yeah, they look like they have cancer in the front of their forehead. Like I don't get it. That's crazy.
If you, I think if you don't like, if you don't like forehead, if you find a woman that you like, you just find someone who doesn't. I think everybody have like their physical preference, what they like in a woman physically, physical appearance. So you find someone who doesn't have a big forehead, and that's good.
Not like I don't mind it. It's just I've just seen a lot of ridiculous ones where it's like it's a really the back of their neck is where their hair starts, which is crazy. What?
But it's part of some women's beauty, though. Like I think I've seen some that, let's say if they don't have forehead, they're gonna look really ugly. So I think I've seen people like that. That the forehead is actually what contributed to their beauty. But every region do have. They hope you know that there are some African countries that who knows if their standard of beauty is forehead.
Yeah, it must be.
Haven't you seen the country that use plates in their lips? That's their
Oh,
own standard of beauty, and the
yes.
neck. So everybody has different.
Can you imagine?
That's tough.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that's all I have for you today. I clearly have to work on my Swahili, man, when I touch down, so I can talk nice to the African woman with the fatnyesh. You know what I mean?
Oh, you
Please.
learned the yash.
I love the word nyesh, as you could probably tell.
Especially when it's fat.
Actually, it's funny because I noticed like the word have really become popular. Like everyone uses it now.
Nah, that's a good look, man.
Nah, yeah,
You
you can't. Some butts you can't call a butt. It's only
Women
classified.
from his region have yash though. You can visit his place. The
they have a
African.
bit some of them have a bit too much, I'm not gonna lie.
They'll embarrass you.
Yeah, for real. You gotta know what you can manage.
Right? You gotta
You gotta know what you can manage and what you can't. Some of them I wouldn't even talk to them. I wouldn't waste my time because I can't do nothing for you. For
Yeah.
real.
There's
Oh my
I
goodness.
think there's a certain there's too much, there's medium, different sizes. So I think like you go to those places where there's different size. There are some who have preference where they want the larger one, the one that is too much for you, or some want medium, normal. Some are actually obese, some are normal weight.
It's
Well,
crazy.
please do us a favor and like and subscribe. Go check out Dee Dee's page. Go check out my page. I
Yours,
love you
please
all.
like click the like button and subscribe to Important Miscellaneous Talks channel. And we made it to an hour.
Hour 30.
Until next time, guys.
Facts.
Bless
So
you.
what do you guys have to say before we end the line?
Yeah, subscribe. I love you all. God bless you.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All right. So I don't know. That all? Do you guys have something you want to say?
Uh, now follow me on Instagram.
Can you tell
Everything.
them what your channel is about?
Oh, what my channel is about is that. Oh yeah, so Important Miscellaneous Talks is a channel where it's a podcast channel where we talk about a little bit of everything. We talk about dating. We've interviewed people in real estate and finance, self improvement, fitness. We've interviewed people from all across the globe, athletes, entertainers, you name it. So anything you want, we have it.
Hmm.
All right, that's good. All right, guys. That's it for today. Make sure you click the like button if you haven't and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out Miscellaneous Talks, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.